Thank you, Samir, for introducing me to this, well, it's a room, isn't it? It's not quite complicated. It's a room that's owned by Quakers. It's a room that's become pyramid in shape and looks like it's concealing various Illuminati symbols, if we were to look deep at. Oh, well, I want to know, what's the sign for Illuminati, just in case? Pyramid with an eye in it, thought so. I am a strong believer that each of us has a unique and individual connection with the divine. A kind of individual idea that's somewhat taken hold of our culture, the individualism of the post-war years, that has ultimately, its destination, turned us into passive consumers as opposed to active citizens, acting individually out of self-interest, animalistic desires, pride, selfishness, lust, as opposed to communal ideas, altruism, compassion. Francesca, my mate over there, asked me to come here today, and I kind of think with her brother Raoul maybe organised all this thing. Did you? Has people given you any appreciation for that yet? She seems to be one of those people I've picked up in life that's a pain in the arse. You know, like you get people in your life that make you do stuff. It's never the last time. This won't be the last time, will it? There'll be some other thing that I have to do soon for Francesca Martinez. But luckily for me, Francesca Martinez's needs align with my needs. And I think in spite of the fact that we increasingly in this day and age see ourselves as individuals, new narratives, new stories are about to emerge where we once again discover that our identity collectively is more important than our identity as individuals. This time of infatuation with self, I am really well qualified to talk on that subject. I feel qualified to speak on this subject not because I think I'm better than any of you, but because I know I'm worse. I'm an ultimate individualist. Narcissism was my religion. Self-obsession, self-absorption, a product of my age, a product of Thatcher's Britain, of consumerism, of you make your own luck in this world, son. I'm from Essex. I was told that if I wanted anything, I had to go out and take it. I was told that the most important things about me is what I am as an individual, what I can do as an individual, what I can achieve as an individual. And I bought that line, hook, line and sinker, and followed it all the way to Hollywood, pursuing materialistic, individualistic, glitter-covered, saccharine-soaked dreams. But having been there, having stepped through the looking glass, having held the illusion in my hand and seen only ashes when my palm reopened, I'm qualified to tell you that none of that stuff is real. None of that stuff is valuable. I'm reminded that not everyone was born with my gifts. This is just something a friend of mine tells me. And what she meant, she sort of says it sarcastically, this lady, because what she means is that I was born, I'm a drug addict, you know. So like for me, what is addiction other than consumerism plus the belief that everything can be resolved with external acquisition, by imbibing, by consuming, by taking and taking and taking and taking. You know, and being an addict and being an addict in recovery has taught me that I can't become happy by consuming. I can't resolve inner issues with external solutions. I can only actually be happy peculiarly and antipathetically, in fact, by helping others. It was a difficult and confusing thing for me to discover when I was first forced to become altruistic for self-salvation. Helping others is the only thing that makes me feel that I am valuable, that makes me feel that I'm connected. To a degree, we're here, aren't we, to a large degree, under the auspices of Naomi Klein's work, This Changes Everything, in which, as I understand it, Naomi said, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, I mean, what else do any of us do but paraphrase to our own ends? That what I took from that book, well, let's be honest, the back of that book, books are for writing, not reading. Garth Marenghi quote. I've actually written more books than I've read. Garth Marenghi quote. It's funny, man. Is that the system isn't going to change things for us, because for the system, things are working. Exxon made $44 billion, or whatever it was last year. They don't need a revolution. For Exxon, things are kicking over cool. all is cosy on the Exxon front. So they ain't going to change nothing. My personal belief, as you know, that within the parameters of parliamentary democracy very little is going to change, because these institutions, these organisations, these systems are set up and established to maintain order, not to facilitate change, and it acts as a kind of magical filter to inculcate change, to provide barriers to stasis, to provide barriers to change, to prevent genuine true change happening. The good news, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as all of us are concerned, is that change begins within. That change comes about as a result, ultimately, of the will of the people. None of the ideas that I think, even though I'm always described as self-styled revolutionary, I think, I do have a stylist, I'm not entirely self-styled. It's actually someone else does that. Even though I'm often described as a revolutionary, for me it's not that radical. The things I believe in are democracy, a facility for the will of the people to be represented, so that the people that fought for us to have the right didn't fight in vain, so that we have the ability to influence the institutions that control us. And if we can't influence those institutions, then the institutions have to go. It's non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. What I'm interested in is us finding new ways to cooperate, new ways to recognise that we all have the same struggle as one another, discarding the false narratives of difference, be they cultural, spiritual or religious differences, because there are several ultimate realities that I'm attuned to, that seem important to me, is that we all share consciousness and awareness. We all know what it is to be a sentient, awake individual being, processing feelings, some which feel quite primal, some which feel acculturated and complicated. But we all know what it is to be aware, conscious, and I believe that consciousness is connected. A second indefatigable, irrefutable. Sometimes I'm just winding up this sign-up. Incontrovertible. She's got. Is there one song that's just like "fuck him" in death? Whilst the signs and signifiers may vary, there is one ultimate reality with which we're all communicating. One of these irrefutable realities is that capitalism and conservation are directly opposed and on a collision course. You cannot have infinite growth if you want to protect resources. Capitalism, what does this mean? Russell, I've never loved anyone the way I love you. Until now, I didn't realise I was even gay. This whole conference, in my mind, is just an opportunity to meet you and to make you my husband. Kind regards, Samir. Samir! What a time to tell me! So me, I'm having a revolution anyway, because I've had a revolution in that I don't believe in consumerism anymore, I don't believe in capitalism anymore, I don't believe in senseless, relentless materialism, individualism anymore. The reason I could never be an atheist is because atheism for me, the end point of atheism is individualism, materialism. All that matters is all that can be weighed and held in your hand, and for me the most important things are unknowable, the unknowable connections between all of us, regardless of what language you use to describe the infinite force from which we are all derived, the infinite energy to which we will all return, whether we see it in ecological terms. What were early religions but love of the earth, love of the planet, worship of the systems? I suppose what we need to do is find a way back to the essential nature of things, to embrace the divine feminine that is part of this planet, to embrace let's face it, that was a pickup line. I'm joking, spoonful of sugar, let's not take life too seriously. From the womb to the tomb, from the womb to the tomb. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. All right, mate. Have you sorted that TTIP thing out yet? Last time I saw you, you said you was going to sort it out.
It's almost there.
Almost there on the TTIP. Oh, thank God. So in America, you're allowed to put whatever you want in food, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, we don't want that, I don't think. That doesn't seem good. Doesn't seem good, the idea that private corporate courts would be set up that we'd have no control over. That doesn't seem like it'd be a positive thing. Can we trust them? Big transnational corporations? Of course we can, they're fine. Consumerism, don't worry, capitalism will ultimately resolve itself. No, but in a way, we've much to be grateful for capitalism. It has provided the organisms of the revolution. It has provided us with media. It's provided us with transport. There's nothing wrong with dressing nice. There's nothing wrong with media as a concept. There's nothing wrong with nice clothes. There's nothing wrong with I promise to pay the bearer. What's wrong is the head of the serpent. The head of the serpent. The idea that everything is for profit, that everything has a dollar sign or a pound note written on it. The invisible nature of capitalism, all-encompassing capitalism, without opposition, without alternative, so that we dream in capitalism now, that we can't see any alternative. It's up to us to, in whatever language we speak, in whatever terms we see it, to come together and recognise that we have only one opponent. There are only about 85 people in the world that are benefiting from things being the way they are, and those are the people that tell you that the way things are is the only way that things can be, that somehow they have happened upon the only workable system. Capitalism doesn't even tell you that it's good. It admits that it's shit, but it says that it's either this or Stalinism or beheadings in a desert. Well, there are myriad alternatives. We can create whatever world we want. We can imagine new realms and pull them down together. So, yeah, I mean, I think what I'm going to do now is I might go on that anti-Rupert Murdoch thing. Come down to me, what I believe in is localised action with globalised ideology. I've got a lovely new cafe thing. We've got a cafe. We've started on the New Era estate in N1. Pop down there. It's like a social enterprise. The people are running it collectively. Recovering drug addicts are working in the place. They're going through coffee like fucking maniacs. It's hell. It's absolutely ridiculous. We have taken over the awning of a Sun newspaper and put True News on my media. And the Sun are rattled. These tiny little symbols, these things that you wouldn't think matter, they take a personal interest because it's held together with lies. It's held together with our inaction. And it can fall apart whenever we choose to tear it apart. And I don't like to focus on the aggressive aspect, but for me this thing is inevitable. It's happening. I have no fear. I live in total, absolute certainty that we have already lived out our destiny. I'm going to go on a date with Samir now. I've been told to recommend that Occupy March. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go. I might need to go to an NA meeting. I'm feeling pretty freaked out. But if I don't go, I'm going to go to that Occupy Rupert Murdoch thing. Samir will give you some details. I love you all very much, and that's the most important thing, isn't it? Thank you. Okay.